Okay, hello everyone. Good morning to everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. Um, we are going to start our webinar that we titled Awakening Sleeping Beauties: How Art Strengthens the Impact of Investments in Nature-Based Solutions. And as a partner event of the EU Green Week, today we will try and discuss together the role of arts and culture in nature-based solutions. So my name is Laura Nieto. I work for Greenovate Europe, which is a network on innovation, and we are in charge of the communication and dissemination activities of the Sleeping Beauty project, together with many different organizations, and particularly Double Innovation and the Austrian Institute of Technology. We organized this webinar, and we are very happy to have you in the room today. Before we begin, I will highlight 2 points. The first one is that this webinar is being recorded and it will be available on our website, on the Sleeping Beauty website later on. And also that we have behind the scenes our colleague Agnieszka, who will be in charge of not only sharing the screen, but also checking the chat. So if you have any comments, any questions, don't hesitate to go to the chat and share anything you would like to. Maybe we can just go to the next slide to see very briefly the agenda for today. As you can see, first of all, we will have an interactive introduction. We will share a Mentimeter with you. And then going into the business for today, we will have a brief introduction of the Sleeping Beauty project. Then we will move into a presentation on how to engage through art and culture with different stakeholders. And later on, we will have examples, concrete examples of our Sleeping Beauties, of our pilots in the projects, to finish with a moderated discussion with different experts on New European Bauhaus, on nature-based solutions, designs, and there you will be also invited to share your inputs and your points of view. So maybe we can start already with our interactive section. Maybe we can share the next slide so people can take their phones and connect to the Mentimeter. Yeah, please don't hesitate to use the QR code on the screen. I will let just a couple of minutes so everyone is there. The goal of this short Mentimeter is to also get to know the audience, to get to know who we are talking to today, to get to know you better. So please join the Mentimeter and we'll get started.
So just to let you know, we cannot enter the code until it's presented. It's at least on my Menti.
Yeah, because we didn't launch the.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Very good. So first question for everyone who has joined already, where are you joining from? We would like to know where are you following us from today? We have many countries in Europe already. Okay, Austria 2 times, Amsterdam, the Netherlands, France, Italy, Greece, Croatia. More from Italy, very good. Greece, I already said it. Sweden, more France, very good. Okay. So mainly EU countries as expected, very good. Okay. We can move to the next one. What is your activity sector? What are your main activity, or what sector are you representing today? Are you a research center, a university, or maybe a student? That counts as well. Or you're working from industry, public authority, if you work for a municipality, maybe. You're part of the civil society as an NGO or a citizen. We have also designers, architects that might be interested in our business today, and other sectors. So we can see already that we have mostly people from research, designers and architects, but also others. We don't know precisely which other sectors, even though we count also a couple of people from public authorities and civil society, which is very good. Citizens are also our main focus in the project. So very good. Maybe we can move into the next question. So we would like to know a bit more if you have experience on nature-based solutions and arts. It can be that you only have experience on NBS, on nature-based solutions, or only on arts, or maybe on both of them, as we can see already most of people have experience on both of them, or none of them. Maybe you come curiously to check what nature-based solutions and arts are together, which is also very good. We are here for that today. So, okay, most of people in the room have experience with both, so that will be very enriching also for our discussions. And we're happy also to have a couple of people who have never worked with those, so we can try and introduce them into this amazing world of nature-based solutions and arts. No one who has only worked on arts. Okay, I think we can move to the last question that is related to what do you expect from this webinar? What do you think you can learn? What do you think you will get out of this session together today? Just a brief word. New ideas and inspiration, very good. Enriching exchanges. Hopefully we'll have those with the many experts we have in the room. Learning and networking, experiences from others, very good, that we'll have from the pilots as well. Exchange and connections, inspirational examples, get an insight about NBS, very good. Deepening of art-based intervention understanding. Oh, that's very, very interesting, and we'll have a session on this. Good ideas. Okay, possibilities of art in research, understanding how art culture and NBS can. I can see the rest of the. Yeah, very good, thanks. NBS can be connected to networking and networking, sorry. Okay. So lots of exchanges and insights on how to link these two words together, NBS and arts. Very good. We hope we will meet your expectations. So I think that we can already start because we are already behind schedule. So I will lead the floor to our project coordinator, who is Gudrun Hanmeyer. And she will introduce the project very briefly. Thank you for being here. And the floor is yours.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for setting this up. So very delighted to meet you. I'm Gudrun, and I have the pleasure of coordinating the Sleeping Beauty project since last year. So we are almost 1 year into the project. And what is the Sleeping Beauty project about in a nutshell? So what we try to do is reviving neglected urban, peri-urban, and rural spaces across Europe by integrating nature-based solutions with the values of the new European Bauhaus. As you can see with our 6 pilot sites, they cover various climatic contexts, reaching from the rural beauty of the north in Fröseke, which you will hear a little bit more later on, to the peri-urban areas of the south in Greece and Kozani, but in between you also see Riga, Wrocław, Bolzano and Collegno in Italy as our pilot sites, where we really try to leverage nature-based solutions to enhance biodiversity, foster natural beauty, and provide multifunctional public spaces that really align with the NAP principles of sustainability, beauty, and inclusiveness. As you can see on the next slide, Sleeping Beauty really tries to transform underutilized and overlooked spaces into vibrant, biodiverse areas that reconnect design and artistic interventions, reconnecting people and nature. I think the idea is really bringing together a dynamic collaboration of different disciplines and transforming communities. If you click once more, Agnieszka, then you see that we try to bring research together with the practical implementation, blending it with policy, planning, design, and architecture, and the arts that engage directly with society. On the next slide, we see why are we doing that? So why is it called Sleeping Beauty? So we see that nature-based solutions really need inclusiveness and togetherness. So aesthetic experiences are crucial, that we can really revalue overlooked or underutilized spaces and encourage the good collaboration among citizens, experts, and local stakeholders. If we click once more and show us the next slide, please. The next, exactly. You can have a closer look on our website on how we are doing that. So I'm not going into the details for the sake of time, but what is really characterizing our Sleeping Beauty project is that we connect New European Bauhaus values with nature-based solutions in a co-created way together with our communities by framing and exploring the potential NEP NBS solutions that we develop, by practicing the innovation and co-creating it together with the communities, but also make sure that we upscale and sustain our new NEP NBS practices, have new principles, new models for how to do that, and ensure in the end that New European Bauhaus inspired nature-based solutions, or in other way, inclusive, beautiful, co-created nature-based solutions will be the new normal. Last but not least, I brought a slide with 3 pictures from our kickoff project actually. So what you can see here, what does the Sleeping Beauty project do? So we use what is already there, assemble it in a well thought through design as we bring NEP and NBS together, and we co-create a nature-friendly future in the light of the NEP principles for beautiful cities and villages. And by that, I'm really happy that we have a lot of very, very competent experts among us that will share a little bit how are we doing that and what can arts bring to the table and strengthen the investments into nature-based solutions here. Laura, back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Gudrun, for this very clear explanation. In a nutshell, I think that we got a good idea of what we are working on. If anyone in the audience has questions, please don't hesitate to share them in the chat. We'll come back to them in a minute. But now I think we can move into the second presentation of today. So we have Stéphanie Petit, who will be presenting actually how we can engage different stakeholders on artistic and thanks to artistic and cultural practices. So you can go ahead.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Laura. Thank you all for organizing and attending this webinar. So first, perhaps I have a question for you. So what if we invest in nature-based solutions, but people do not understand or feel connected to it? I think this is a question that we should all have in mind along this webinar, because can it really succeed if we are proceeding this way? Here the idea of Sleeping Beauty is that while NBS, I think, are honestly increasingly recognized, we know that since decades and more than that, we need to live with nature and greener spaces. But honestly, is it like really succeeding? So to succeed, perhaps we need to move from designing green space for people, with people, and now we are going more than that, because we need to also involve the more than human, meaning that we need to design from a different starting point. And it's what we are trying to address with Sleeping Beauty, because central to the success of nature-based solution and also connecting with the NEP values, we must ensure that diverse voices, knowledge systems, and so on are like really informing how we design NBS and how we create a new co-governance models. So I think it's what I wanted to say to open up this session. And here, Heart, I really have a role to play. So if we can move to the next slide. Thanks, Agnieszka. So here, what we can see is that clearly from literature review, so it's clear that nature-based solutions implementation are limited by governance challenges such as equity issues, stakeholder engagement. And if some projects struggle, it's not because people opposed to nature, but sometimes it's because engagement processes fail to connect with people's realities. So here it's few common barriers, let's say, to public engagement you could and we are encountering in our pilots. So we can see a lot of social and cultural barriers. People perhaps like misperceiving the interest because you do not see perhaps a direct benefit. Sometimes there is a lack of community participation because of many reasons, or because of perhaps the tools that we are using, because of more and more digitalization and some difficulties to engage with the elder ones. We can also identify some limited resources and a lot of institutional, let's say, barriers with a lot of silos. And most of those barriers actually can be addressed if we agree together to promote a step change from siloed thinking to a more creative, inclusive and integrated approach of nature-based solution. So we must ensure that stakeholder engagement processes are really inclusive and that we conduct a true co-design. And so if we can move to the next slide. Thanks. Basically here, Heart can really solve that. We need to move from traditional engagement methods that often attract honestly the same people and rely on verbal discussion, surveys, consultation. And here we need to really conduct true co-design, as I mentioned. And it is where the artistic and cultural sectors can really have a role to play, because it helps to engage with people that sometimes are not part, let's say, of the game. So it really allows us to engage with the unusual suspects, inspire them to mobilize around the topic and for nature. It allows us to observe from a different perspective. We can notice the places differently, we can connect with nature, and we can really combine those sensorial experiences so as to connect with emotion. And so it allows the participants to really share their memories, share their needs, share their concerns, and allow to give a voice to diverse perspectives, so that in the end we can imagine new futures together. And so explore new scenarios, co-create visions of change, where we can really like build together new vision and new solutions. If we can move to the next slide. And so before we show you some example as an introduction, before we give the floor to our pilots with really concrete solution at pilot site, I think it's important to remind what do we mean by art in this context. So first of all, it is not a single, let's say, communication tool or a mere decoration. It's not an artist creating or performing his or her own piece. And it's not only an aesthetic add-on, let's say, to NBS. It's not something that is really exclusive. And if you can click several times more, actually, Agnieszka, I think. Yeah, and perhaps once more. Yes, thanks. Art, it's really about a way of engaging people differently and more meaningfully. So it's something, it's a process that is lasting over time. It could be over a couple of weeks or months or years. And it should be really considered as a source of knowledge because it will complement really your standard data collection approach or technical approaches by really expressing feelings, connecting to emotions, and really asking about different type of intelligences where we can really reimagine alternative futures together. It really helps to cultivate futures literacy so that we can redesign systems by enabling a renewed sense of purpose, trust, and inclusion. So this is what art is for us in this context, in the Sleeping Beauty context. And if you can move to the next slide. Something that we wanted to mention is that arts and culture can really help to have the shift and to undertake the shift we need because artistic engagement can really complement your planning process. So as I mentioned, it's not only about producing art, it's about creating in different ways. And so we need to move from a one-way communication approach, let's say, where we inform our communities. Here, for instance, we have some examples to inform you. We have like many ways to inform people in a more engaging way. This is the first step. This is sure it's essential. So here, for example, I have put some example of the NBS comics that have been developed by Nature in the Cities. You can also have like art photo exhibition, immersive experiences, but then you can start to consult differently so that people can really express their needs, their concerns through some photo work, for instance, or sound work, through murals, through co-creating movies with your population. And then you can involve them more and more with various types of activity like role-play theater, like craft, and even more about like prototyping and co-designing with them in later stage. So it is what we wanted to mention, that we can move from informing our communities to really co-designing with them with many different methods. And all of those methods, if you can move to the next slides, have been documented in our portfolio of artistic approaches that will soon be online. I don't think it is yet, but it will be soon. What you will find in the coming weeks and months in this portfolio, that will be like kind of a living document, are like really proven methods that have been proven in other research projects, but also on local initiatives. Some of them come from the NEB Lighthouse projects, so as to really reconnect with the NEB values. And what we can see in our pilot site engagement plan, that some methods like data sonification, storytelling, walking the land, and so on can be easily implemented, and it's what will be presented next. And I think that's all for me. Or perhaps I have added one more slide with some resources where you can find inspiration. So if you can move to the next slide. Yeah. There is the Interaction Seeds project that was like a former project where we experimented artistic engagement approaches. There is the Crab Cities project, so a NEP project that really demonstrated the value of new engagement approaches. And then specific to nature-based solution, you have like one Canadian project that is engaged with nature-based solution that really put the heart at the center, and they tried a lot of approach to engage the communities on these topics, and also a start initiative that is in for Heart, Reimagining City Nature, that was also focusing on the topic. So I guess you can also explore there. That's all for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks very much for your insights. This is the moment where we can actually address some questions if there are some. I don't think I've seen any yet in the chat, but in case anyone has questions, you can drop them there. And as there are none for now, we can come back to them a bit later. We will have occasions. to respond to your questions. So maybe we can move to the next session of our webinar today, where we will be showcasing sleeping beauty practices through our three represented pilots here today. We will start by Colegno in Italy. And for that, what we will do is we'll have a brief introduction of the pilot and then an example of best practice. For this, we count with the presence of Eugenio Pino, who works for Zona West Torino, and also the contribution of Carlotta Pedrazzoli and Chiara Organtini, who come from Lavanderia a Vapore. So please, Eugenio, you can take the word.
Yes, thank you, Laura. Good morning, everyone. I'm Eugenio Pina. I'm working for Zona West di Torino. We are a partner of the project, and we are supporting the case, the pilot of Collegno, which is a city located in the suburban area of Torino in Italy. The pilot side of Collegno is consists of a park. I think if you can go to the next slide, maybe. Yes, okay, thank you. So it's an urban park, which is quite big. It's about 40 hectares, and it is a layer of different phases in history. It first roots with starts in the 17th century when it used to be a monastery, and it was later converted into an asylum and a psychiatric hospital. Until its closing in the 70s, when different services took place in the area. The park has an important presence of built and natural heritage, which is currently fragmented, and it will need an increased coherence and a new condition in some cases. Here in the you can see in a map some of the main elements that are located in the park, and maybe the next slide we can see what the project foresees for the area. So with the Sleeping Beauty project, the goal is to conduct different actions. The first of them is the creation of a master plan, which will be able to create some coherence between the different actors and stakeholders that are located in the park, and to find a new vision in order to give value and to develop the heritage that is currently already there, but it is in some cases neglected or abandoned. Other actions are more focused on the natural elements, such as the creation of rain gardens or the so-called healing garden, in order to increase well-being in the park, and the creation of some thematic paths in order to increase knowledge about heritage and history of the area. Some multiple activities and events are already taking place in the park, because this is one of the main areas and one of the main public spaces in the city, and different spring and summer festival are taking place. And as an example for this, I will leave the floor to my colleagues from Lavanderia Vapore, which organized one of the main events that are already taking place in the park.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for the introduction and for the invitation. We're very happy to share what we do here in Lavanderia Vapore in Collegno. Lavanderia Vapore is one of the buildings that used to be part of the psychiatric hospital. Specifically, it was the laundrette of the mental hospital, and now it's converted into a dance house and a space for artistic development. And what we try to do is to encourage spaces also for arts to meet civil society. So to break the walls and the division that used to be in the spirit in the past of a segregating space. So we try to promote art as a meeting space to change the body posture and the mindset, and to facilitate civic encounters. We started a short 3 days festival 3 years ago. The Spring Rolls Festival is part of a diptych. We do also have a winter festival, and we try to shape an artistic program, a public program that is more linked to seasonal changing and to the engagement of the audience in a ritual.
Okay. I think we are back in track. We'll make sure that everyone is joining the room smoothly, but the recording is back on track as well. So, Mette, please, you can keep going with your presentation, and apologies again. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So what we say here in this webinar, we say that art can reveal the beauty of nature-based transformation, make complex environmental challenges tangible and emotional, open up new spaces for dialogue between citizens, practitioners, researchers, and public authorities. And while we, of course, totally buy into this concept, we also really see how this is unfolding now in our space. Because we're moving from visioning and co-creation and ideas to very concrete solutions that we have to make decisions and prioritize. And we have found out that we maybe could imagine that people are really, really connected to this place. Some of them have lived there all their life. They have worked there, they have seen the community changing. So there are strong memory narrative in the community, a strong feeling of belonging, but also longing back to what was. So even though if they're with their mindset know that the industry will never be as it was, and they maybe don't even want it back, it's still there's an idea of what if we could regenerate the park as it was. And you see, we found an old photo from 1950 and how it park was. And you can imagine maybe now there's only grass and trees along the road. So it's totally different. And there's no water in this little pond you see in front of the glassblower. So they're talking a lot about that. But we are talking about biodiversity. We're talking about, could we make a paradise for insects, and could we put some, meadow flowers, just make it more wild? And they're like, we don't want any dead trees in the park. What are you talking about? We have a lot of dead trees because we are in nature. So we have started to think about what is actually art, what is beauty, and what is nature. And we are coming with our preconceived ideas, our privileged, well-educated ideas about this. And they have a different idea and different needs. So how can we actually close the gap? How can we, with our glasses, actually judge whether what is beautiful or not? Are 500 yellow lilies beautiful, which they have now planted in the park? Is a pavilion beautiful, or does it not fit with our idea of regenerating nature? So it also taps into what is nature. How do we look at nature? Because for these people, nature had been something that they exploited to live, to make a living. It was a natural way to change the river, to get the energy, to get the factories growing. And that's very deep rooted in them, as it is in our society. So we are very concerned about not making this a polarization between them and us, because we are representing the new or the transformed future, which is nature-based. And it's so easy that we will become like representatives for something that will take something away from the people. So even if they understand that it will not come back, and they are very, very connected to nature there as a part of their DNA, there still are those risks. So we see that's unfolding. So we want to try to just call the attention to us as professionals, that we really kind of look at our own, what we bring in, what are the glasses we are bringing, and how can we also really co-create for real? So we don't co-create and then we take the ideas and we say, okay, but we will do it that way. So for us, we say, okay, nature is all, including all living beings and humans and so on. But then we also really have to be humble and listen to the humans also to all the other beings and the place, but also to find a way to bridge this gap. And what we see is really that the art of listening, we can never do that enough, and to try to really create the confidence between us and have a lot of dialogues, which is not only on meetings, on co-creative, wonderful workshops. It's also all the small conversations and being there with them and trying to understand their perspective and listening on a deeper level to the anxiety that there are related to a transformation in your own community. It's like I have a feeling that it's like also almost like we want to change something in the body of the community. It's very tangible. So it's a very interesting process that we are constantly exploring, and also exploring how we create the new hours together, which include a renewed relationship to nature, because it is necessary, and we know that. And how do we communicate that, and how do we keep on dialoguing about that? Thank you.
Thank you, Mette. Actually, we have a little question from Nicole in the chat that relates to the age of the villagers. So how old are the people you are working with?
There is like typically many of them are retired, so they are, and that's also why they're so active, because they are so engaged. But there are also some few families, but like there are 120 people, so we maybe have 20 or 30 people under 50, and a few families, and some of them are also active. We also have some artists living there, being part of the group. But that it is an issue for us how to include also different kinds of voices, because there's a core group that they're kind of members of all the associations, and they have a lot of power, a lot of informal power also. So while we cannot just nod to everything they say, we also need to kind of be very much aware about how we relate to our key stakeholders. I hope that was an answer. Yeah, exactly, Nicole. And then I'm thinking about the role of the consultant, that we should not be too engaged. Sometimes we also need to keep a distance, and it's really difficult when you work with such a small community. I can feel. So yeah, it is an anthropological task in a way. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for this insightful example. If there are any other questions, please don't hesitate to go ahead on the chat. For now, I think we'll move into our last example, coming from Italy again, but this time on the other side of the northern area of the country, coming from Bolzano. We have a representative of an organization called Lea Collective, and they are partners of the Sleeping Beauty project. Please, Daria Abisher, are you in the room?
Yes, I am.
Hello, Daria. Thank you so
Hello.
much. Please, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you for the invitation and for the opportunity to present our pilot, and hello to everyone in the room. Well, I structured my presentation in these two blocks. One, an introduction about the pilot, and the second is about best practices linked to arts and NBS. So let me first introduce you a bit to our city and our pilot. Bolzano, as you might know, is the capital of the province called South Tyrol in northern Italy, located in the Alpine region close to the Austrian border. With around 100,000 inhabitants, the city is known for its multicultural identity, where Italian and German are both official languages alongside Latin in the wider region. It's located within the mountains, as you can see in the picture, which makes it both environmentally sensitive and highly exposed to the impacts of city change and urban development pressure. So one of the key challenges Bolzano is facing is the limited availability of urban space due to its mountainous geography, which constrains expansion and increases pressure on land use. The city also experiences large industrial production and high tourist activity, both of which contribute to environmental stress. In addition, being one of the hottest cities of Italy, even if it's at the northern part of the country, due to its formation, Bolzano faces issues related to heat waves and night warming, as well as negative effects of light, noise, and air pollution on biodiversity and human health. Safety perception linked to dark urban areas also represent an important social challenge. And finally, also the dark social spots, as we call them, the vulnerable communities are an important issue we want to address with this project. That's why our pilot has the title, The Beauty, Sustainability and Inclusiveness of Darkness. So within the Sleeping Beauty project, several solutions and activities will be developed to address these challenges through nature-based and socially inclusive approaches. The project will map, for instance, dark infrastructure and dark social spots to better understand urban lighting conditions and biodiversity impacts. Participatory GIS activities will help create heat maps of radiating spots, while value assessment will explore how darkness contributes to inclusiveness, safety, and urban well-being. The project will also establish an urban participatory experimentation lab, in short UPEL, to encourage citizen engagement and inclusive urban design. This UPEL will serve as a physical and social platform, as well as a place for exchange, knowledge transfer, experimentation, and community building. Its activity will focus on the question of how Bolzano can better address and challenge above mentioned and particularly challenges related to the former railway station area. You can go on with the slide so you can see our pilot area, the former railway station of Bolzano and its surroundings. So this is the location where we are going to install. We started just recently the UPEL, and there we would like to contribute to the transformation of the more attractive, inclusive, and sustainable urban area. Yeah, let me now come to some best practices linked to art and NBS. The activities surrounding the UPEL Participatory Experimentation Lab have only recently begun. Yet we have already activated a broad stakeholder network that includes, amongst others, creatives, cultural actors, designers, and artists. At the intersection of art and nature-based solutions, we see strong potential for out-of-the-box approaches that can create low-threshold, critical, inspiring, and inclusive impulses for both the community and the place itself. In our understanding, and this was also a nice opportunity to actually reflect on it, in our understanding, art is not merely a form of aesthetic design or an object, but rather a tool for activation and participation. The goal is never solely to develop an MBS, but equally to activate the community around it, as social inclusion and participation, as already mentioned, are just as important as environmental transformation. And in this sense, we aim not only to promote green infrastructure through artistic interventions in public space, but also to create new forms of participation, interaction, perception, and co-creation. Artistic and cultural practices can foster, in our view, dialogue, evoke also emotions, which is really important, and make complex environmental challenges more tangible for people. Yeah, let me now come up with two concrete examples, please. Next slide. I'd like to start with a collaboration we started just recently with some students from the Faculty of Eco-Social Design from the Free University of Bolzano, who help us translate abstract topics such as NBS, because in the end those kind of concepts are somehow abstract to some people, into accessible and tangible concepts through design-based approaches. Within the Sleeping Beauty project and our pilot activities, the 5 students are currently working on their project called Plan B, which explores the possibility of reinventing the way we relate with, perceive, and use public urban blue spaces. So they started asking citizens in one of our first Opal activities, where do you go when the city gets too hot? And how can we make existing water spaces become cooling spots for care, exchange, rest, and learn? So you can see they prepared these installations and invited people to build their own collage, their own mappings about where they go and what do they do when it's getting too hot. So this was a really nice first experimentation with this group of students, and we will for sure continue over the next months. And please, next slide. Our second example. Yeah, luckily we found a young initiative called Officine Vandale from Bolzano, a group of young people. They call themselves ad hoc designers. They design from waste materials around Bolzano and build new urban furniture and urban design materials. And what we did here, this was actually our kickoff for the UPEL itself. Through a co-creative process, they helped us and contributed designing, modeling, and building the first elements of our UPEL. The weather was not the best, and that's why we decided to start with the modeling and also with the building of the first furniture, as you can see in the pictures. We had a lot of also marginalized groups passing by as this city quarter of Bolzano is quite diverse. Yeah, in addition to these two examples, we are currently already in contact with the Bolzano Art Week, and we are planning to do a joint intervention on the former railway station area in autumn, exploring the interface between urban challenges, NBS, and design. Yes, that was it from my side. Thank you for the attention. If there are any questions, feel free. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Daria. I think it was very, very clear, and it's very inspiring to see actually the concrete also outputs of your activities, right? So thanks for that. It was very inspiring. Now, if I don't see questions on the chat, so that means that maybe we can just move slowly into the moderated discussion, our panel with experts. What I would like to do is to maybe leave each one of the speakers 1 minute to max, because we are short in time due to the technical issues. We would like to have a short presentation, a short introduction of each one of our speakers in the room, and then we'll move into several questions that we asked that we would like to reply by our experts. So I would like to maybe start with Luca Di Stefano from Nona. If you're here, please, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Yes. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, super. Is it okay if I share the screen? I realize I didn't send slides, but I can quickly show something.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you see my screen right now?
Sure. Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, I represent today Non-A, which is short for non-architecture. I will try to keep it very brief, but around 10 years ago, with a few friends from architecture school, we started developing a platform with one simple idea, which was, what if we did research through contests to design open processes and see what happens? And now 10 years later, and 65 design contests or design competitions, as architects call them, later, we are here and we are part of different projects, including Sleeping Beauty. And we established a platform with around 70,000 architects and designers from all around the world following us. And we issue initiatives of co-design or design contests. You see two of the latest ones. The one below the Healing Garden is actually one of the initiatives of Sleeping Beauty and was presented by Collegno. And then next to it, we developed a small lab, we call it the studio, where we help municipalities, private clients, or research institutes having a more co-designed approach towards city making and citizen engagement. So we have been working with the municipality of Valencia. We have been working with different European programs to bring the fun into the design process. We know that the conversations around cities tend to be quite narrow. And in order to break that wall, we realized that creativity and co-design can actually be a very powerful entry point. You see a few of the projects we did. I'm not gonna take too much time here and leave the floor to the others.
Thank you so much, Luca. We're very glad to have you here today. Maybe we can move to the next speaker. We have in the room also Maria Menendez, who actually works for or has collaborated with the Nature Museum in South Tyrol. And she was at the origin of a very interesting exhibition. Maria, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Laura, and thank you, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today, and I'm in place, let's say, of David Gruber, who is the director of the Nature Museum in Bolzano, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. And I would like to kind of pick up on what Daria said of like art as a tool for activation. So I think it's a good example of to explain like what we have been doing with a collaboration with the Nature Museum in Bolzano with Michel Trasler Studio in Vienna and the Embodied Data Lab from the Free University of Bolzano, which I'm leading. So the project was an interactive exhibition that started from the data of the museum. So we started from a very niche, let's say, topic. So we were very like, we were wanted to use the archive, which is close to the public, but we thought that it was a very good like instrument for sharing narratives on biodiversity. So we wanted people like to be able to interact with the archive in embodied ways, so they could experience biodiversity changes. And we specifically focus on the temporal aspects of biodiversity, because one human lifetime is not enough to change, to see how biodiversity is changing. So because of this, the central part of the exhibition is an 8-meter interactive installation. So maybe Agnieszka, if you can play the first video, we can see that what we did, it was an installation in which people could see their silhouettes being represented with flowers and plants that they were digitalized specimen from the archive in the museum. And it was over an 8 meters installation in which they could see how diversity has changed from the 1850 until the 2050. Then we also had like different islands in this exhibition in which, for example, we, if you can please, the second video, thank you. So where we were digitalizing like stinted birds. Here we collaborated together with the biologists, the zoologists, and the botanics from the museum. And then we had different ways in which people could explore not only biodiversity change, but also how the generalization of the landscape is happening in South Tyrol, how new species are coming in, so neobiota, and also how some species are being lost in the territory. And for this, we use augmented reality to see, for example, in the third video, how birds they are unfortunately only visible in digital right now. So this was a small seed installation that took place in the museum for 3 months. It actually created a lot of discussions, and what is really nice now is that it has become already an installation that will be traveling for the next 4 years in 4 different nature parks here in South Tyrol, where also together with mediators, it will trigger, hopefully trigger discussions on biodiversity in the territory.
That's very impressive. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
the introduction. And we were lucky enough to experience the exhibition. I have to say that it was a really interesting way of connecting to the nature of the of Bolzano, of the area. Thank you for that. Maybe we can move to our last speaker in the room, who is Nicole Loestre from Institute for Art and Innovation in Berlin.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really be super excited to learn about more the Sleeping Beauty, but also all the other people who are in the room, because I love the approach of NBS and NEB. But what interests me the most is really how both funding sustainable businesses and organizations can help really our long transformation, so to say, right? So my name is Nicole Löser. There's something wrong with the slides, but anyway, I'm the co-founder and director of the Institute for Art and Innovation, and our work sits in many EU projects at the intersection of social innovation, participatory foresight, and sustainable transformation. And at IFI, I develop and facilitate methodologies that we have also co-developed over the past decade that help diverse stakeholders collectively explore, but also shape future pathways together. So we don't stop at road mapping. We really try to integrate and implement these ideas into the real life. And we have initiatives that now run for more than 5 years. Some of them, like for instance, the Art for Futures Lab was developed during the pandemic with the Film University in Babelsberg, close to Berlin here. And now we have facilitated more than 200 workshops in more than 12 countries with very diverse group of people. Another project that came out of it was the Ocean Future Lab that is now used for marine and maritime challenges, where people can actually come together, be it citizens, researchers, policymakers, businesses, and cultural actors, to not only face but really tackle complex challenges together. And we are currently in the Kony Fair, and there we have 6 civic labs across Europe, where we actually deal with school ecosystems. But there we can see that our 20 partners have so many different languages that it's even a challenge in between the consortium to come up with a kind of joint vision. So even when you talk about visions for nature-based solutions, for instance, every even discipline has a different understanding, right? So, and how do you then integrate others that have no clue what nature-based solutions are? So alongside this practice and also my academic work, I'm currently conducting a doctoral research at the Film University, where I investigate how social art can function as a form of pre-governance infrastructure to really support collective action and transformation. And again, what particularly interests me is really how we move from joint perception and experiences and then maybe also knowledge aggregation to really shared ownership and ultimately to lasting change. And I stop here and look forward to the discussion.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nicole. Well, maybe we can just dip into our questions for today. So the first one we thought about was how to ensure that investing in nature in cities is inclusive and also beautiful. How is the New European Bauhaus Initiative supporting this, actually? And I think that I would like to address this question to Luca, because he is an expert in New European Bauhaus Initiative.
Lovely, thanks. Those are big questions, so I'll try to make sense of at least some interesting point of views here. As Laura just mentioned, I've been a mentor for New European Bauhaus projects for EIT for now a few years. I think I mentored over 11 projects. And with Nonay, we were partners of the New European Bauhaus at the very beginning. I think we were one of the first 13 or 14 to join the whole initiative that now became a very large framework. I'll try to circle back to the first question and then go back to the New European Bauhaus. I come from an urban planning and architecture background. So very often you see that the question here is, why does nature need to be beautiful and inclusive? But when you plan a city, when you plan investment in green, you actually think from a different perspective. Oh, I need to deliver green so that my city will be beautiful and inclusive. So somehow there is an underlying assumption in our culture, at least in the European culture, that greenery is per se a vehicle of beautification and quality for citizens. So the new European Bauhaus introduced 3 pillars, which is like they're related to inclusivity, to beauty, and to sustainability. Somehow the strength of the overall program, if we could call it that way, is that if you build an holistic framework that tackles the 3 of them at once, you are empowering change in a much more effective way. So I don't know if necessarily nature needs to be inclusive, but surely what you need to do is, from an economic perspective, maximize the impact of your investment. I mean, when you build green infrastructure, you're spending taxpayers' money. You have responsibility to deliver value to those that, like fund the overall public operation. So there is no safe mechanism to do that. There is no safe mechanism to deliver impact. And I was very intrigued by, I love what Stephanie said before. She mentioned alternative futures. So I think co-creation or participation have this power. And that's what the New European Bauhaus is trying to disclose and normalize. That the more people come to the table, the more ideas are shared. Therefore, the more undiscovered futures emerge. This is something we propose for Sleeping Beauty, and that's why we're part of the project today. Public procurement, and we're all familiar with it, works in a very standardized way. It's complex, it's very hard to access, and it generally reinforces the usual suspects and the usual patterns. It's a business as usual model, simply because business as usual is easier to deliver. So if you start challenging through more inclusive processes, all of a sudden you discover that there is a lot of ranges of opportunity and innovation that simply no one tested because the business as usual pattern doesn't give enough room for it. And I think this is the one big value and the one big priority that needs to be delivered in the framework of the NEP. And then the second one is, I think, more related to what Mette from Proseke was saying before. So, okay, we might discover new ideas, but we might also not discover new ideas. Regardless, it is necessary that you make sure that the community that receives this investment in green infrastructure of any sort, of any size, whether it's one tree or one park or one entire national biocorridor, it doesn't matter. There needs to be involvement. Like, we care and cater and support what we feel we helped shaping. So we're doing this project. I'll make maybe a simple example. We're doing this project with EIT. It's a very tiny project in Utrecht in the Netherlands. We started working with an elementary school. Kids are around 8 years old. So clearly they are a segment of the population that doesn't get much room in citizens' participation processes. I don't know if any of you have ever been into a standard citizen participation process. And I think Utrecht is one of the most advanced in Europe when it comes to it. But it's not a kid-friendly environment. So we started asking them on a very simple level, just draw whatever you want to happen in the space around your school. We provided them with mock-ups, with little base drawings, and they started sketching. And now we are using AI to translate that into interventions, like into urban design interventions. And you would be surprised how many of them, or even all of them, I think, addressed nature, water. It was a hot day, so everyone talked about water and about plants and about animals. What does this mean in practice? We will not be able to build these crazy, imaginative, ambitious ideas that kids proposed. Many of them wanted a McDonald's. I don't know why. They started talking and they had McDonald's everywhere. But we will not deliver McDonald's. We will not deliver most of those ideas. But those kids, whatever we do in this space or whatever we propose to do in that space, will have a much stronger sense of ownership and belonging, because part of it, part of the conversation included them and was tailored to them. We need support. We cannot do this top down all the time. I think that's the big strength of it. So to circle back, 2 priorities. 1, uncover the unusual suspects. Leave room to a lot of ideas to emerge, and you might find some gems that otherwise you would never discover. And 2, use creativity to give a voice to people so that they feel heard and they can later on cater and belong to the spaces you want to deliver to them. I think that's the summary of what the NEB tries to achieve.
That is great, very inspiring. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think that we all relate. I was seeing some faces nodding, some people agreeing with your input, Luca. Well, I think that we are going to try, because we're only 7 minutes away from the end of the webinar. So I think that we are going to move into the next question. But if anyone has any rebounds, any thoughts, please share them on the chat. We will try to reduce the number of questions. We have 4, and I think that we will come back to 3. But we're going to keep going with the second one. Why is it important to invest in art so as to support the creation of social value when renaturing cities? And I would like to address this question to Nicole first, if possible, since she's working in social activities and art, social inclusion through art. So what could you tell us about why using art?
Yeah, thank you so much. Really great question. Yeah, I think especially when we discuss transformation towards more nature-based or socio-ecological transformation, we often focus on ecological performance, right? When you think about more of innovation, then it's more about the technical feasibility. And what I always come across is the financing mechanisms that we usually don't talk much about, because everyone depends on funding. So for me, it's a lot about that today's challenges actually are not primarily knowledge gaps or even collaboration gaps. I mean, they are there for sure, but I think many people nowadays, they know a great deal about biodiversity loss, climate adaptation, water resilience that is needed, and so on. But my question, and therefore I think the artists are very important, is how we create shared conception. I think this was also what you were sharing.
We're having a little problem with your sound. I don't know if it's for everybody, but I can't really hear you properly.
No? What should I do? Is it better?
It's better. Yeah,
It's
it was
better?
cutting.
Okay.
It was just kind of cutting off. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. I try my best. So, yeah, I think this kind of shared perception is so important, and we undervalue that at the moment. I have the feeling we think we talk about the same issues, but actually it's so much depending on our cultures, on our history, on our own stories, on our mindsets, worldviews, and so on and so forth. I mean, everyone also talks about the missing social cohesion nowadays because everyone is in their own echo chambers, right, on the mobile phones, and so on and so forth. So everyone could participate. Actually, we can't find each other to really align our perceptions. And another thing comes then with shared responsibility. And I think the arts in previous times helped to raise awareness for these issues. But now, as there is awareness in most of our societies, I think now it's the next step and that's why I'm more interested in social arts or socially engaged arts, because it's really about shared responsibility and collective action. And I think here participatory approaches can contribute, but I think we also need completely new artistic approaches because it also shapes a different role. When we did the University in 2017, and it was one of the first art and innovation projects the EU funded, it was very obvious that we brought together so many different stakeholders in many local contexts, and they haven't even known about other stakeholders working on the same topic. So our project had to bring them together in the first place. Then they started exchanging, and then of course the miracles and surprises happened, right? So there were new laws passed, new study fields occurred, new NGOs were founded, and new startups, and so on and so forth. But in the first place, I think artists, if possible, if this is also of their curiosity and also of their let's say artistic approach that they are interested in, I think they could help us to open these spaces where people actually can not only engage differently, but that they, and I think that was also Luca mentioning, right, where they can really develop new and alternative futures in the first place. But then for me, it's really about exploring possibilities, how to become co-creators of this transformation. And this step is often not funded. So we are still working in the first part. So awareness raising, perception, co-creation, future visioning, all good. But then how do we implement that? Yeah, how do we make sure that also the funding mechanisms, in my opinion, change so that nature-based solution can be implemented by the local communities, maybe with new artistic and co-creative methods. But for me, investing in art means really investing in the social infrastructure that allows socio-ecological infrastructure to succeed. And just to close here, I think for me, it's not the lack of solutions, and it's also not the lack of financing, because there are many impact investors waiting for models, but it's really the lack of shared perception, shared ownership, shared imagination, and collective action on the long run. And I stop here.
Thank you so much. I think we are on the same boat, and many of us are questioning the same issues. So thank you very much for highlighting this very interesting perspective. I would move into the last question that I would like to share with you. It is not the third one, but the fourth one. I would like to go straight to our conclusion. How has art supported engagement processes, first for awareness raising, but also to go beyond by encouraging citizens to get involved and to take action? And for this question, I think the ideal person to reply would be Maria, since she has been involved in this experience from the scratch, starting with the creation of this exhibition and then spreading it all around the territory. So please, what would you explain, or what would you like to mention on this?
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, I be short on this one. I think I may start with like building up on what Nicole was just saying. So I think art actually is not about the solutions. Actually, it's about like making problems, or making like what are actually the problems that we want to deal with, right? I think that is actually may seem quite like banal in a way, but I think it's quite difficult. So I think that art can play a very important role in engaging people emotionally, but also to remember and to make it like impactful. So for example, with Eco-Nature, people were not only consuming information, but they were part of it. So kind of creating empathy and awareness. But here I may also say that awareness was not enough. So I may also say that it was a really beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, so very much aligned with the new European Bauhaus. But I think that people were leaving the exhibition with a feeling of being hopeless. And I think that that is what probably we would need to work a bit more on. And I think on this, like, it's not only about art or funding art, but it's about mediation. So everyone, I guess, that is here, like, how then actually this work is actually what is valuable, and the art then is the tool. Yeah, so I could elaborate more on this, but I know we are short on time, so I don't know if that would be enough. Otherwise, I can continue.
Yes, I mean, I think it's a good way of finishing your interventions. Thank you so much. But we have still, well, I think that we can give 3 minutes for everyone to rebound, to ask any other questions you may have. Stephanie, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, perhaps thanks a lot to all of you for those really nice answers to the questions, because I think it reflects well what we face in the reality when we try to practice and to engage with citizens and to find solutions. And I wanted to react on what you said, Maria, about perhaps then, so there is this art installation you have created, and that was like, honestly, I love that when we discovered it in Bolzano. But then what is coming next? And indeed, I think we said as well that art can be a tool to activate the participation, but it's not. What is important, I think, to say is that it's not a single tool. It should be part and really integrated in a process, in a larger process, where we try to find solution, where we engage with people, and you can have like as many artistic intervention or cultural intervention as you wish. If you developed it and if you built it only in a single way or a one-time approach, let's say, for sure you are missing things, and people could feel, as you mentioned, hopeless. Hopefully, in your intervention, Maya, you have the postcard. I remember that people can send so as to keep in touch and be informed and so on. And I think that there is like many ways to continue the process, making sure that all the activities and interventions that are being developed in Sleeping Beauty are not standalone, and that we can succeed in continuing the engagement with the participants, so that, okay, we have shared information, and then next time we will discuss solution and so on, so that it's really like a lasting process. I think the lasting part is really important. I'm stopping there.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for this link between the questions and also the engagement that you highlighted at the beginning. Is there any other comments someone would like to conclude, because we are wrapping up? So anyone has a question or a comment that would like to share at this point? No? In that case, I think that we can, oh yeah, Gudrun, please.
Sorry for that. So I think, first of all, thanks for all the contributions. I think it was really, really great to see how many different forms and shapes art and engagement can take. And I think all of that brings something very, very valuable to the table. And the last thing is, we often struggle in our projects to make something quite abstract, like innovation or transformation, tangible. And I think art really helps us to make us feel, see, experience, and really embrace what we are trying to change and turn into a nature-friendly future. So that's one of my key takeaways so far from the Sleeping Beauty project, to really make it experienceable, so to say.
All right. Thanks for that. Thanks for that last words, which are indeed very, very related to what we discussed today. We are going to finish here, but we still have some comments on the chat, so don't hesitate to stay in touch. We prepared, in case you want to stay and you have a couple of minutes, a little word clouds, because we want to have a sort of visual image of the main aspects that we can keep from this session. So we have a QR code that you can, you can scan. It's the same Mentimeter that we saw earlier. So how are strengthens the impact of investments in nature-based solutions? What are your main ideas? Please don't hesitate just to share a little word that connects to the conclusions that you can take out of this webinar. And we will for sure share these word clouds later today in our social media and probably on our website as well, so you can see the final results. For those who have to leave already, they can do it, but otherwise you can stay for a bit longer to see how this word cloud develops and what are the main ideas that come out after this session. We have already some words there like strategic priorities, feel it, support, enhances visibility, the importance of democracy. Also, we invest in people. So it's very, very deep wordings, tangibility. Okay, I will leave you keep going with this. But I would like to take the chance again to say thank you to all the speakers and to all of you who have been present today to make this webinar possible in the framework of the EU Green Week. We are very happy to count with your presence, and we would like to say that actually this topic seems of great interest, so we can in the future come up with further activities where we relate arts and the nature-based solutions. If you want to get to know a bit more of what we are doing and how the project evolves, don't hesitate to follow the website and also our social media, especially on LinkedIn, but also some partners have their own social media accounts. We will be sharing all the progress that we are making, the activities that are taking place, and you can always contact and reach out to us so we can put you in touch with the actor that is developing any of the actions. So thank you again, and we hope to stay in touch for further activities together and to keep awakening sleeping beauties. Thank you to all.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.